industry, and I will leave that to him to make that announcement later. Unfortunately, all of this good is happening for our country. This administration is working hard on behalf of the American public every day, but the mainstream media continues to be focused on a sensationalized story from the failing Atlantic magazine that is falling apart by the hour. Here are the facts. The National Security Advisor has taken responsibility for this matter, and the National Security Council immediately said, alongside the White House counsel's office, that they are looking into how a reporter's number was inadvertently added to this messaging thread. We have said all along that no classified material was sent on this messaging thread. There were no locations. No
Hi everybody. It should be coming up here on this hour. I'm in Ontario, so it should be finished.
Their release of these internal messages
should come anywhere in the next 23 minutes anyway.
If this story proves anything, it proves that Democrats and their
But you'll catch it here.
in the mainstream media know how to fabricate, orchestrate, and disseminate a misinformation campaign quite well. And there's arguably no one in the media who loves manufacturing and pushing hoaxes more than Jeffrey Goldberg. Goldberg is an anti-Trump hater. He is a registered Democrat. Goldberg's wife is also a registered Democrat and a big Democrat donor who used to work under who? Hillary Clinton. This is the same Jeffrey Goldberg who infamously lied about weapons of mass destruction to get us into the Iraq War, which cost trillions of dollars and thousands of American soldiers. And how else has Goldberg discredited himself? By absurdly claiming that President Trump was Vladimir Putin during the 2016 campaign, by peddling the Russia hoax that tried to hijack President Trump's first term, by inventing the suckers and losers hoax to help Joe Biden in the 2020 election, by peddling a hoax about President Trump involving Gold Star families to help Kamala Harris in the 2024 election, which our campaign at the time vigorously denied. Jeffrey Goldberg didn't care. There's more, but we don't have all day, and we can now add the Signal hoax to this very long list. The real story here is the overwhelming success of President Trump's decisive military action against Houthi terrorists. On March 15th, President Trump ordered a series of military operations against the terrorist Houthis to defend U.S. shipping assets in the Red Sea, restore freedom of navigation for international shipping, and defend the United States from enemy threats. United States forces successfully struck down dozens of targets across Houthi-controlled territory. And as a result of these actions, several Houthi leaders were killed, including the Houthi drone chief, his deputy, and several of their drone experts and other key leaders. We also destroyed command and control facilities, weapons manufacturing facilities, and advanced weapons storage locations. And it's important to remember why this powerful action took place in the first place. Because of Joe Biden's incompetence and pathetic weakness on the world stage for years, the Houthi terrorists grew emboldened. Immediately after taking office in 2021, Joe Biden removed the Iran-backed Houthis from the foreign terrorist organization and specifically designated global terrorist list. Did anybody in this room ask the Biden administration at the time why they made such a stupid mistake? This reckless action undid the designation put in place by President Trump during his first term, and what followed was predictable and devastating. The Houthis targeted U.S. military ships and aircraft, hit commercial ships, including U.S.-flagged vessels, threatened our personnel overseas, and attacked our allies in the region. This resulted in more than a year of U.S.-flagged commercial ships being prevented from safely sailing through the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, and the Gulf of Aden. This had a massive negative impact on global trade of the economic security of the United States. Joe Biden was the commander-in-chief, and he sat on his hands while the United States of America was bullied and embarrassed by terrorists. President Trump and his team are putting a stop to these threats in restoring American strength around the world. The Trump peace through strength approach means no terrorist force will stop American commercial and naval vessels from freely sailing the waterways of the world. But unfortunately, this is not what the Democrats and the media want to talk about. They are focused on a coordinated campaign to try and sow chaos in this White House. And this has been the most successful first 2 months of any administration ever, which is exactly why they are doing this. We are not going to bend in the face of this insincere outrage. here's just one example of how bad faith the Democrats' criticisms are. Democrat Senator Mark Warner is hysterical over the use of Signal, which is an approved decrypted app, in the killing of Houthi terrorists. But Senator Warner himself used Signal to work with a lobbyist for a Russian oligarch to connect the disgraced Steele dossier author who started the Russia hoax, which Jeffrey Goldberg later reported on. How ironic. We're not going to lose focus of the bottom line, which is that Joe Biden's weakness enabled and emboldened Houthi terrorists, and President Trump's strength and resolve eliminated those terrorists. Here in our new media seat today, we have Lindsay Keith. She is the managing editor for Merit TV and serves as their White House correspondent. Merit TV launched 1 year ago and creates and distributes content across diverse platforms. We're glad to have you with us, Lindsay. Please kick us off.
I appreciate it and this opportunity for Merit TV. Two questions, if I may. One on Signal, one on the economy.
Sure.
On Signal, how comfortable is the president with what was shared so far now that the chain has been released?
The president's view on all of this remains the same today as it did yesterday. And I think it speaks volumes about the leadership of this president that he went directly to all of you, members of the press corps. He was asked, do you want someone else to go out and do a briefing? And he said, no. I will tackle this story. I will discuss it. The people need to hear from me about the situation. And so his thoughts on this remain the same today. He has placed great trust in his national security team. And as for the usage of Signal, as the president said yesterday, as the CIA director has testified under oath, this is an approved app. It's an encrypted app. The Department of Defense, the Department of State, the CIA has it loaded onto government phones because it is the most secure and efficient way to communicate. As for, again, the original situation in this messaging thread, the National Security Council, the White House counsel's office continues to look into how this mistake, which the National Security Advisor has owned, occurred, and the president has ensured they are doing that.
The consumer confidence hit a 4-year low this month. Can you help explain to the American people how tariffs will help them in the long run?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm grateful for the question. The American public will hear later this afternoon from the president directly on the topic of tariffs. And as you all know, April 2nd day, President Trump has proudly dubbed it Liberation Day for our country. What he means by that is it will be a day where the United States of America will no longer be ripped off by nations around this world. It will be a day where Americans finally see free and fair trade practices restored. We are no longer going to allow our allies, our competitors, and our adversaries to take advantage of American workers. And if you think about your hometown and the state that you grew up, Main Street looks a lot different today than it did many years ago. And President Trump wants to restore America as a manufacturing superpower around the globe. He wants products to be made right here in our great country with great, hardworking American hands. That will ultimately result in higher wages and more money in the pockets of the American people. And he's also, in addition to tariffs, also determined to pass tax cuts later this year, as he did successfully in his first term, to put even more money back into the pockets of hardworking Americans. Peter.
Trevor, if I can ask you very quickly about the information we've seen, just to set the predicate on this. Has the president been briefed and physically seen he's seen all the details of the chat as printed by the
I
Atlantic?
just spoke to the president about it, yes.
And let me ask you if I can very quickly. In the chat, Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, details F-18s, Tomahawks, are some of the weapons that were used. He details the timing involved for this, all of which occurred 31 minutes before, as he says, F-18s would launch. The DoD manual details classified information as significant military plans, saying that is secret, that's classified. So what about, there are no methods, there are no sources, but that's not what determines what's classified. So what is it about what Pete Hegseth wrote that makes you say this is not classified?
Well, it's not just me saying that, Peter. It's the Secretary of Defense himself who is saying this as well. And he put out a very strong statement earlier today listing all of the things that were not included in that message that he sent to the group. And again, this message, there was no classified information transmitted. There were no war plans discussed. Why did the Atlantic downgrade their allegation about war plans to attack plans? They're now playing word games because they know this was sensationalist spin from a reporter who is well known for doing this. We have said all along no war plans were discussed, no classified material was sent. You have the Secretary of Defense saying that. You have the Director of the CIA, the Director of National Intelligence, the FBI Director, all testifying to that under oath. and they should be trusted with that.
To be clear, Americans can make the decision for themselves, but whether is the you,
Sure.
you said it's not war plans. Would you characterize these as military plans, military operation plans?
I would characterize this messaging thread as a policy discussion, a sensitive policy discussion, surely, amongst high-level cabinet officials and senior staff. And I'm so glad, Peter, that you said the American public can decide for themselves, because I think the American public should decide for themselves based on the outcome of this operation. And what happened in this operation? Terrorists that were allowed to run wild by the Biden administration were killed because of the direction and the determination of this president and his team. And this message also shows, this messaging thread also proved that President Trump has an incredibly dynamic team who is working incredibly hard, flying all over the world to secure world peace and to fix up the foreign policy crises that the previous administration left for this team to inherit.
So to be clear, we all in this room and around the country would agree that we're glad no American service members were harmed, and we're glad that the mission was a success. We'll stipulate that. But the president said, that Pete Hegseth said, none of this was classified. So given the president has seen it now, and given the president understands that significant military plans are deemed classified as secret, how does the president view none of this, which details times and weapons and more, as being not classified?
I've already been asked and answered this question. The president's thoughts on this remain the same today as they were yesterday, as well as the Secretary of Defense. This question has been asked and answered. There was no classified material discussed. Jackie.
On what basis I was asking?
Go ahead, Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. So why aren't launch times on a mission strike classified?
Again, I would defer you to the Secretary of Defense's statement he put out this morning. There were various reasons he listed, things that were not included in that messaging thread that were not classified. And again, going back to the American public, do you trust the Secretary of Defense, who was nominated for this role, voted by the United States Senate into this role, who has served in combat, honorably served our nation in uniform? Or do you trust Jeffrey Goldberg, who is a registered Democrat and an anti-Trump sensationalist reporter? This president and this national security team are putting our national security and the American people first. We are restoring American strength around the world, and the results of this operation speak for themselves.
Putting aside Jeffrey Goldberg, though, just for American service members who are going to have to carry out these missions in the future, what I guess the message that's coming from the response to all this that we're hearing is that nothing sensitive happened, and I guess the logical conclusion of that is that if these messages had gone out publicly prior to the launch, that wouldn't have been a risk to service members. I don't know that they're comfortable with that. So can you explain, had these messages been published, would the plans have moved forward? Would the launch have still taken off?
What I can tell you is that the president, as the commander-in-chief of our United States Armed Forces, and Secretary Pete Hegseth, who is an incredible man and a warfighter himself, take the lives of our American service members with the utmost responsibility, and they would never do anything intentionally to put their lives at risk. And again, they are working hard on that every single day, and we are protecting our service members while also restoring peace throughout this globe. It's something the previous administration has not done. And I would just add one more point. We are not going to be lectured about national security and American troops by Democrats and the mainstream media who turned the other cheek when the Biden administration, because of their incompetence, left 13 service members dead in Afghanistan, and not a single person in the previous administration was held accountable for that botched withdrawal. Joe Biden said, in fact, it was a great operation. That is despicable. It's unacceptable to this president and this Secretary of Defense. The National Security Advisor has taken responsibility for this inadvertent number being added to the messaging thread. But above all, we take the lives of our troops, safety, security, prosperity around the globe with the utmost seriousness.
Goldberg's intentions, do you believe that he would release that to embarrass the administration ahead of the worldwide threats?
Jennifer, go ahead.
Given what you said about the president's trust in his national security team, can you say definitively that no one will lose their jobs? No one will lose their job at all because of this signal situation?
What I can say definitively is what I just spoke to the president about, and he continues to have confidence in his national security team.
One more, can I ask one more, Karen? On the targets in Yemen on March 15th, can you say were 100% of the targets that were planned for March 15th, were they all destroyed? Because that would be an indication if some that were moved, but they were not all hit, that maybe perhaps some of the entities were able to get some of the information in that single chat?
What I can say about the operation is what the Department of Defense has put out there. I would refer to them for any further operational details. But there have been more than 100 strikes conducted against Houthi targets, and they have hit key Houthi leaders, air defense systems, command and control nodes, headquarters, weapons manufacturing and storage facilities, and these operations will continue until the freedom of navigation in our seas is restored and U.S. shipping can safely transmit without the fear of attack. And again, we believe that this has been a very successful operation thus far, and it will continue until this administration feels it no longer has to, and these terrorists have been taken out, which again is something previous administration should have done, but they didn't, and now we've inherited this crisis. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. I'd like to clarify something about the investigation and also ask some conservative commentary. On the investigation, Mike Waltz said last night that he had spoken to Elon Musk about figuring out how Jeffrey Goldberg's number got in his phone. You mentioned the NSC and the White House counsel's office investigating. Can you just clarify who is investigating, who's leading that, and also Dave Portnoy, who endorsed President Trump, said today that he thinks that Mike Waltz should leave. Can you respond to that?
Sure. Great respect for Dave Portnoy, but I just answered that previous question from Jennifer. As for your original question about who's leading, looking into the messaging thread, the National Security Council, the White House counsel's office, and also, yes, Elon Musk's team. Elon Musk has offered to put his technical experts on this to figure out how this number was inadvertently added to the chat. Again, to take responsibility and ensure this can never happen again.
I have two questions. One on a follow-up on something you just said. But since we have these messages released, and you said that the president has now personally reviewed them, in the chat at one point, Pete Hegseth wrote 14 to 15 strike drones on target, and in all caps he said, "This is when the first bombs will definitely drop." Does the president feel that he was misled by his national security advisors, whoever it was that told him there was no classified information in there, now that he's seen these messages?
I've now been asked to answer this question 3 times by the both of you, and I've given you my answer. The president feels the same today as he did yesterday.
Okay, and I might follow up on what you had just said.
Go ahead, Philip. Caitlin, I'm not taking your follow-up.
I have a follow-up on something you just said, though, Caroline. That's
Caitlin,
regarding
I'm not
Jeffrey
taking
Goldberg.
your follow-up. Philip, go ahead. I have called.
Thank you. The Vice President seemed to express some frustration that Europe wasn't doing more to police waterways in their backyard, noting in that signal thread that 40% of European trade goes through the Suez Canal. Does the President share that opinion and frustration? And then going forward, should Europeans be responsible for policing that waterway?
Well, the president was asked this question yesterday by the pool in the cabinet room, and he answered this question. He said yes. He believes that Europe has been, as the vice president put it, freeloading on the backs of American taxpayers and off the backs of the United States of America, and he wants to ensure that Europe pays their fair share. He's always been very honest and upfront about that, and I think the vice president shares those concerns with him as well.
Sure. Enlisted soldiers, sailors, and Marines would face consequences if they shared this type of information inadvertently with a reporter. Can you tell us more why the president is so willing to give Mike Waltz a mulligan here?
Again, I have now been asked to answer the same question using different language multiple times. If anybody has another question, there's a lot of different things going on in the world. We have tariffs possibly being implemented later today. The president is going to talk about that at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay, thank you for taking my question. I wanted to first and foremost thank the administration for the election integrity executive order, because so many journalists for 4 years were banned from talking about this very subject. So thank you to the administration for that. My question is, yesterday President Trump, when signing the order, said that there was more to come when it comes to election integrity. Would that include same-day voting and hand-counted paper ballots? And why are Democrats so against election integrity measures like obviously proven citizenship when it comes to voting in a United States election?
Well, it's a very good question. You'll have to ask the Democrats why they're against so many common sense things, not just mandating voter ID. Why are they against men and women's sports? Why are they against deporting foreign terrorists from American soil who have been designated a foreign terrorist organization? I'm referring to Tren de Aragua. As for the election integrity executive order that the president signed yesterday, this is in an effort to restore trust in American elections. There were more than 10 steps taken, 10 executive actions taken throughout this one order. It directs the department, or the Attorney General rather, in Homeland Security to prevent non-citizens from any involvement another host of actions. We can provide the fact sheet for you, but it's a very strong election integrity executive order, and the president would also like to see Congress do something about this very important issue. Sure, go ahead.
Caroline, the Republicans and Democrats alike have been expressing some concern about the frequency with which senior Trump officials have been using the Signal app. Has there been discussion, or will there be a review about how often they use Signal, and if you could explain to us how they might be considering other applications to get away from something like this happening again?
Sure. Well, again, first of all, Signal has been an approved app for government use. It's an encrypted app, and as I said, it's the most safe and efficient way of communicating, especially when people can't be in a skiff or inside a room physically together. I think, as the president said yesterday, he wishes that everybody could be in the room, and it's our goal to ensure that everybody can be. But again, no classified information was discussed in this chat, and any time classified information is discussed amongst high-level officials across this administration, secure lines of communication are used, including, by the way, our special envoy, Steve Witkoff, who I understand the Wall Street Journal erroneously reported that he was on this Signal chat on a personal device while in Moscow. That is absolutely false. Steve Witkoff did not have his personal device, nor did he have his government device with him. He was given a classified, protected server by the United States government, and he was very careful about his communications when he was in Russia. So rest assured, the American public, this administration is taking every precaution when it comes to protecting our national security, and that's why the American people reelected this president, because they know that our national security is in good hands with the President of the United States. Speaking of the Vice President, I understand he's going to be speaking any moment now. I would hate to counter-program the Vice President of the United States. You'll also hear from the President at 3 o'clock. He will be honoring Women's History at the Women's History Month celebration. We have a lot of great women across our cabinet who will be in attendance, so we'll see you all there. And then you'll also hear from the President again at 4 o'clock when he talks about tariffs. So plenty of time for more questions. Sorry it's a bit shorter today, guys. We'll see you later.
There was a lot of fake news questions going on there, as you guys heard today. For those of you that just watched that, of course, that was at 1 o'clock when it was live. We replayed it just for those of you that have not seen it, but also as we stand by and await the president for the Oval Office there, from the Oval Office, as he will be talking about those auto tariffs. We'll take you there live as soon as that happens. Once again, I'm Matthew Alvarez here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thanks so much for streaming in with us live right now. All of this brought to you by some great sponsors, including Tax Network USA. If you're looking to settle any back taxes, you can do so by calling 800-357-1415. You see that number right there on the bottom left of your screen. Also, on the top left, you see tnusa.com/RSBN. This will get you to where you need to go and get that financial freedom, and also just that peace of mind when it comes to any back taxes. So at least get the ball rolling and figure out a game plan with Tax Network USA, a great sponsor at Right Side. All right, so it is 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock Eastern time right now, top of the hour, Wednesday, March 26th. Also, we'll go to Virginia from earlier today when the Vice President, J.D. Vance, of course, was speaking at Quantico, Virginia. We'll go to that in just a minute as we await the president. Also, thinking about the mainstream media situation, they just keep asking those questions, but
Trump's got everybody on the hook, everybody. It's hard, right? Because everyone's like, when's it going to be, and how late is the White House going to go? So you got to wonder what is actually being talked about there. Who's on the phone with Trump crying in their soup? And what are they trying to promise him?
Of a part of the Marine Corps was of my life, and how important it was for you may know that the Marine Corps actually, there are a lot of good things the Marine Corps did for me. When I joined the Marines back in 2003, I was just a kind of directionless kid. I didn't want to.
Okay, folks, I'm gonna go upstairs, grab my salad for supper, and we'll be back. Hopefully I don't miss it. Could be any second.
For making one of the worst financial decisions that I've ever made. And as you guys probably appreciate, there are often these used car dealerships outside of Marine Corps bases. You know what I'm talking about? And I remember when I was probably a 19-year-old kid, I was going to buy a used Honda Civic at one of those used car dealerships. And the dealership was kind enough to offer me the low interest rate of 21% to buy that used car. And it was a Marine Corps gunnery sergeant, Gunny Arledge, who said, you know what? Why don't you stop being an idiot, go to Navy Federal Credit Union and get a better deal. And Gunny Arledge saved me from making a terrible mistake. And that's what the Marine Corps does. That's what you all do, from the NCOs to the officers here. You guys help form our young people into United States Marines. And that is, I think, the best thing the Marine Corps does for the United States of America. I'm proud of all of you. As General Chuck Krulak said, the Marine Corps does two things. It wins battles, it wins wars, and it makes Marines. And that's a pretty good damn thing to do for the United States of America. So I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud to be here. I'm proud of what you do. And most of all today, I'm proud that I think under new leadership, the Marine Corps and the entire United States military is headed in the right direction. And that's why I'm here today, to talk a little bit about what we're going to do, talk a little bit about President Trump's vision for the United States military, and importantly, after I do that and I serve some chow at the chow hall, I'm going to go shoot some guns, right? So here's the thing. Under President Trump's leadership, we believe in a very simple principle. We don't care who you are, where you came from, we don't care what skin color you are, we care about excellence and we care about patriotism. And if you are awesome and you are a patriotic young Marine, then we are going to do everything that we can to make you the most lethal fighting force the world has ever seen, and that is what we're doing every single day. No more quotas, no more ridiculous mumbo-jumbo, no more diversity training. We believe the real strength and the real diversity in the United States Marine Corps is that you all come from every walk of life, come from every corner of America, and you have got the strength and the purpose to win the nation's wars, and that is what the Marine Corps is going to do, just like it's done for damn near 250 years. Now, speaking of that, as my dear friends, and as a lot of you know, well, maybe you don't, a lot of young faces out here. That's the thing. I'm 40 years old now, and I realize that compared to when I joined the Marine Corps, I'm an old-ass man now. But here's the thing. The best friends that I've ever made in my life, I've made in the Marine Corps. People who came to my vice presidential inauguration and the president's inauguration just a couple of months ago are people that I first met in boot camp, or first met in follow-on school, first met at my first duty station. People who have held my children when they were little babies. People who I've helped welcome new children into the world. You guys have no idea that the people standing to your left and to your right, these are lifelong friends. They're going to follow you around, whether you want to or not, for the rest of your life. And I think that's one of the great blessings of the United States Marine Corps. And one of the things I learned from my great Marine friends, they remind me, is that this November, of course, our great Corps is going to celebrate 250 proud years. And as I know, because I've been to a few Marine Corps birthday balls myself, I'm sure it'll be a total sober, no alcohol celebration for the Marine Corps' 250th birthday. But from one Marine to another, let me just say that we are excited to celebrate the Marine Corps' 250th anniversary, 250 years of winning wars, 250 years of kicking ass and taking names. So here's the basic plan. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to invest in the Marine Corps and the entire United States military like we never have before. Over $1 trillion we're going to invest in building up the manufacturing base of this country so that you guys, when you do go to war, when you have to go to war, you've got the best weapons anywhere in the world. We know from the long history of the United States of America that while the leading edge of American power is you all, it really matters what you guys have in your hands and what you guys have on your backs when you go to war. And so I promise you, from the President of the United States, we are going to send you, if we have to send you to war, with the best equipment, the best ammunition, the best weapons, and
branches had some recruitment problems, not the Marine Corps actually. The Marine Corps was the one branch that consistently met its recruitment goals, and that probably has something to do with the fact that the Marine Corps is a little bit smaller, as you all know. But this year, now, we have got every single branch of the United States military for the past 2 months has been meeting its recruitment goals, because I think I see in your faces what we're seeing all across the country. A renewed sense of patriotism, a renewed commitment to excellence, and that is what is going to make the United States military the strongest fighting force anywhere in the world. So thank you all. Thank you for being part of it. Thank you for being part of 250 years of great American tradition. Thanks to you guys for being willing to put on the uniform and serve your country. I always say that the most important thing that we have in this country, the most valuable natural resource, we got plenty of oil, we got plenty of natural gas, we got great mines and minerals, but the most valuable resource that we have in the United States of America is you all. It's young people who are patriotic and dedicated, who are willing to put on the uniform of the United States and risk your lives to defend your fellow citizens. That's an amazing thing. I know it's easy to forget when you go about doing your jobs and you're just worried about getting through the day, worried about getting to the next week, worried about doing the good job that all of you do, that what you're doing is an amazing thing. And it's easy to forget that because, you don't always have the Vice President dropping in to say thank you. But I want you to remember that whether you serve another couple years in the United States Marine Corps, whether you're at the beginning of a 20 or 30-year career, that we respect you, we thank you, and this Vice President and the President of the United States know that you guys are the most important resource that we have in the United States Marine Corps. In the United States of America. So thank you all, and God bless you. And the final thing I want to say here is I was actually, and I know I was late. It was funny. That is not Marine Corps time, my friends. I remember Gunny Arledge always told me, if you're 5 minutes early or 10 minutes late, I'm sure you guys have heard that correctly. What does it mean when the Vice President is 2 hours late? I guess I'm on time, because who the hell's going to get me in trouble, right? But here's the thing, my friends, is I left, the reason I was a little bit late is because I was in the Oval Office talking to the President. And I stood up and I said, sir, I know we're in the middle of something, but the Marines at Quantico are waiting on me. And he said, oh, I didn't realize that. You got to get out of here. You got to get out there. And I said, do you have a message you want me to deliver? The President of the United States said he wanted me to tell you 2 things. First of all, that he loves you, and second of all, that he's proud of you. So let me echo the President, let me echo a grateful nation. You guys just keep on doing what you're doing. We love you, we're proud of you, and we're going to support you every single step of the way. God bless you, Marines. Semper Fidelis.
Vice President J.D. Vance from earlier today, Quantico, Virginia, speaking to the United States Marine Corps there. Quite awesome to connect with we the people via our military. Obviously, we the people as well. So it's great to have the family together there and see J.D. Vance speak to the Marines. Also, there's a lot of video we're seeing from the Department of Defense when it comes to the southern border, as well as the southern border mission is still ongoing to keep illegal aliens out of our country, to keep fentanyl out of our nation. And also, we know that the drug cartel are now a terrorist organization, according to the President, and many Americans, if not 99% of the country, agrees with that, because those are the guys that are bringing in that terrible fentanyl and those drugs to our country. So we're seeing the President and his team work hard on crushing all of that, making that stop. All this while the President will be having that meeting here soon from the Oval Office. He'll deliver those remarks on auto tariffs. Now that is news to us here at Right Side, because that happened when Karen Leavitt, the White House press secretary, made that announcement during her press briefing earlier today. So, hence, an extra live broadcast right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. On the New York Post, there's a story that we're tracking with here. 4 American soldiers killed after they went missing on a training mission in Lithuania, just miles from the border. Getting more details as that story develops there. is a headline that we're seeing out there as well. We're all waiting for the files continually to be released. We saw the JFK files the other day. We're seeing the MLK files and all the other files being released hopefully soon, including Epstein files, the COVID files, 9/11 files. These are all specific details that were spoken not from me, but from Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who said that there is a declassification task force that has been created to be transparent to the American people. So still waiting on a number of those files, but still at the end of the day, we see that this president and this team, all about truth and transparency. And of course, you can tell who the fake news press are if you watched that press briefing earlier today, because they keep trying to ask the same different question about the Atlantic, Pacific, whatever magazine that is, story. It's not even a story when you can just add your own spin and sensationalism to it. Instead, we have more of a common sense base here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and we continue to bring this live coverage to you. So let's go to angelpace.com. Angelpace.com. You can use the RSBN promo code for quite a percentage off there. They're from Spring, Texas, of course. They hire military veterans. Also, we know that the products are not only the Miracle Cream, there's other products as well. So just go to angelpace.com for more information. All right, so 5:13 Eastern Time. Again, we just saw J.D. Vance, the Vice President, speak in Virginia. The President will speak here soon and share remarks about the auto tariffs that are going to be discussed here at any minute. So looking forward to that live coverage on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so again, 5:14, Wednesday, March 26th. Thank you again for joining us here on Right Side. If you'd like to follow us on Truth Social, it's at RSBN, or on X, it's at RSB Network. All right, so we've been seeing a lot of the woke mob go against Tesla out there, and we're seeing that slow down a little bit, especially as we're seeing the whole thing with the woke mind virus being exploited. And then President Trump and others saying, well, these are domestic terrorists. So we're seeing how things are going with that, covering these stories. But it seems as if that is hopefully starting to stop when it comes to the attack on various Tesla dealerships, Tesla vehicles, knowing that there will be a stiff penalty to pay, including jail time for those caught in those kind of acts. All right, so earlier today, of course, the president held an event at the East Room of the White House. You may have seen that live right here on Right Side. If you haven't, we're going to play it right now for you. This is from the East Room. This was the Women's History Month. Of course, March is that. That was a proclamation by the president earlier in the month. A great event. We're going to replay that. And if we see the president's feed live from the White House at the Oval Office, we'll cut into the East Room replay, and we'll bring you that live coverage from the Oval. Okay. Producer's telling me to hold right now.
Oh, here we go.
Seeing some live footage from the Oval Office, which means we'll be going there instead. So we'll continue on and stand by here at Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Wow.
Again, feedback at rsbn.tv. If you are looking at any specific stories out there in your neck of the woods, or you think that another angle should be covered, might as well send that on over to us as we work together to make America great again now.
Oh, there's Trump. Here we go.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you today. We just celebrated Women's Day at the White House. It was fantastic, attended by a lot of great women. A lot of great women. All women are great. So, this is the beginning of Liberation Day in America. We're going to take back just some of the money that has been taken from us by people sitting behind this desk or another desk that's not quite as nice, but they have the choice of 7, as you know. And we're going to charge countries for doing business in our country and taking our jobs, taking our wealth, taking a lot of things that they've been taking over the years. They've taken so much out of our country, friend and foe, and frankly, friend has been oftentimes much worse than foe.
Ooh.
And this is very modest. And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at, and we go to 25%.
Wow.
And basically, as you know, and as you've been saying, not reporting.
Goodbye, Ontario.
It should be reported because it's a massive story. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs, and I think also because of November 5th, the election, they're very happy.
Ontario just got
AI
crushed.
is coming back to levels that nobody's ever seen before.
Sit for Ontario.
Sort of a new business, I guess, when you think about it, but it's plants are going up all over the United States, and many of them have already been started. We're getting early electricity taken care of. We're getting permits very quickly for them, and we're going to make their life very happy. They're coming in with tens of billions of dollars. Individual plants will cost 10, 15, and 20 billion dollars. We're going to let them build electricity generating plants along with their plant, and they can't even believe it. And we're going to get them very quick permits, as I've done always. I did that in Louisiana with 2 LNG
Goodbye,
plants.
Ontario.
One permit in 1 day after waiting 14 years, and the other one in 1 week after waiting for 12 years. But this is very exciting to me. This is the automobile industry, and this will continue to spur growth like you haven't seen. Before I was elected, we were losing all of our plants. They were being built in Mexico and Canada and other places. Now those plants largely have stopped, and they're moving them to our country. In Indiana, the great state of Indiana, I love Indiana. Honda is building one of the biggest plants anywhere, and they've just started. They wouldn't have done it without this. In all cases, they wouldn't have done it without what we're doing. So we'll effectively be charging a 25% tariff. But if you build your car in the United States, there is no tariff. And what that means is a lot of foreign car companies, a lot of companies are going to be in great shape because they've already built their plant. But their plants are underutilized, so they'll be able to expand them inexpensively and quickly. But others will come into our country and build, and they're already looking for sites. They're looking for mostly sites. They don't want to take the old buildings that are empty and falling down. They want to build new, and there's tremendous action. There is likewise for other companies and countries like the chip making process. Your chip bill was a disaster done by Biden. All it does is give tremendous amounts of billions of dollars to chip companies that will do nothing with the money. They're not going to use the money here. They're going to just keep it. They have plenty of money. The one thing they have is they have a lot of money. In our case, all we're doing is saying you can't come in unless you build here. And the largest chip company by far is manufacturer from Taiwan is building here, and it'll give us almost 40% of the chip market just with that. They're spending almost $200 billion in the United States to build a plant, and they've almost started. They'll be doing much of the work in Arizona. So we have a lot of exciting things, but to me this is one of the most exciting. Now, outside of one specific day, and that's Liberation Day. That's the real Liberation Day of America, and that's going to be in April 2nd. And I look forward to it. We'll have a little news conference. We'll talk about it. But this is very exciting. So we're signing a executive order today that's going to lead to tremendous growth in the automobile industry. As you know, the electric mandate that we did allows you to buy a car now with electric or gasoline powered or hybrid. You can buy any car you want. We had it so that within a short period of time you had to buy all electric, and the country could never provide the money necessary to build all of those power plants that you would need all over the country. As you know, in the Middle West, they built 8 power stations. That's like the size of this desk or smaller. And they ended up spending $9 billion on 8. And of the 8, 4 of them didn't work. And we're not doing that. So you can buy electric, or you can buy gasoline, or you can buy hybrid, or you can buy whatever you want to buy. And that's the way it should be. The market's going to determine that. And you're going to see prices going down, but it's going to go down specifically because they're going to buy what we're doing, incentivizing companies to, and even countries, but companies to come into America and build and we're already setting records for new plants. I think the new plant number, the tally is just within a period of a few weeks. It's very large. I want to be accurate. It's very large. And I'd like to ask Will just to come and give some of the basics, and then I'll sign it, and it's off to the races. I think our automobile business will flourish like it's never flourished before. Yes, please, Will.
Thank you, sir. As you stated, we've prepared for your attention a proclamation imposing a 25% tariff on foreign-made cars and light trucks. This is in addition to tariffs that are already in place on those goods. In addition to, as you said, spurring increased domestic manufacture of cars and trucks, we expect that these tariffs will result in over $100 billion of new annual revenue to the United States of America in tariff revenue.
I think ultimately we could probably anywhere from $600 billion to $1 trillion will be taken in over the relatively short-term period, meaning a year from now, but starting right away. I think we'll go from 600 to $1 trillion within 2 years, and I think we'll be right from the beginning, we're going to be at a very high number, right from the beginning. And right from the beginning, you're going to have a lot of construction jobs, but you're also going to have a lot of automobile jobs. So this is very exciting, but it's also exciting because of what's happening with other aspects. We're going to be doing tariffs on pharmaceuticals.
Wow.
In order to bring our pharmaceutical
Goodbye,
industry
Quebec.
back. We don't make anything here in terms of drugs, medical drugs, different types of drugs that you need, medicines. It's in other countries, largely made in China, a lot of it made in Ireland. Ireland was very smart. We love Ireland. But we're going to have that. We're going to have lumber. We're going to free up some of our land. And you'll be able to meet a lot of other standards like fire cuts. If Los Angeles had fire cuts, which they didn't have, that's a gap of half a football field between areas. You wouldn't have had the fires. They would have been contained. But you have fire cuts. And by the way, you sell that wood for a lot of money, a lot of profit is made from that. But we're going to be doing lumber. We're freeing up our land so that we don't have to use outside sources of lumber. Energy, we're doing fantastically well at. The energy prices have been coming down rapidly.
Yep.
As we increase supply, and we've already done that.
Albertans are paying the tariffs right now.
Fantastic job on that. That's Department of Energy.
Massive deficit.
Interior. And they're working together hand in hand because Interior has the land and Energy has the ability to do the drilling and do what they have to do. Our coal areas are going to be opened up for clean, beautiful coal.
Wow.
Germany's opening up many coal plants now. They tried the wind and it didn't work.
Wow.
They almost went out of business. They almost went bankrupt. They tried wind, which is a disaster because it's too expensive and it doesn't look good, kills all the birds, a lot of problems. But Germany is now building a lot of coal plants. China is building one a week. Think of that. And they're using coal, which is very powerful. Coal is a very powerful energy. And we're opening up our coal mines again, and we're going to do, I call it beautiful, clean coal. The technology is so good now that coal can give you tremendous power at the same time. It can be very clean. But we're also obviously doing oil and gas and various other things. You can do pretty much whatever you want. We don't like the wind because we think it ruins the landscapes, the plains, ruins them. And it's got a lot of problems. It's also by far the most expensive energy. It looks horrible in the oceans. It's dangerous in the oceans in terms of navigation. And if you look at what's happening with whales, in one area, they lost 2 whales, like in 20 years, washed ashore. And this year they had 17 wash ashore. So there's something happened out there. There's something driving the whales a little bit loco, but they lost 2 in 20 years. And now they lost 17 in a short period of time. So it's something wrong out there. So this is very exciting. This is going to lead to the construction of a lot of plants, and in this case, auto plants. And you're going to see numbers like you haven't seen, both in terms of employment. It takes a little while. You're going to have great construction numbers initially, and then ultimately you're going to have a lot of people making a lot of cars. And one other thing, we have the Speaker of the House with us who's doing a fantastic job. And where's Mike? And we're trying to get approved. Mike, thank you very much for being here. we're trying to get approved, if we can. If you borrow money to buy a car, you're allowed to deduct interest payments for purposes of income tax. But only if the car is made in America. So if the car is made in America, you get a loan, you can deduct the interest. That's a big saving. A lot of people in that part of the world, in terms of buying cars, a lot of them don't think in terms of deductions. People that think in terms of deductions are very wealthy people. But people are going to start understanding what a good deduction is all about. So when you get a loan to buy a car, and I think it's going to pay for itself. I don't think there's any cost. I think you're going to have so many cars built. But you're only going to get that deduction of interest if the car is made in the United States of America. So I'm going to sign this, and Mike, I hope you can get that, because I think it's going to be amazing in terms of the number of cars that are going to be made because of it.
That's a smart move.
Howard Lutnick,
we're so screwed here in Canada.
Commerce chairman, that's what he is. He's a chairman.
Once this is over, I'm going to go live. I just needed it to be confirmed what I already knew, but...
It's going to be good. That's Liberation Day. That's going to be on the 2nd, and that's going to be reciprocal.
Holy smokes.
People will be impressed. We're going to be
Reciprocal tariffs.
It's going to be very nice, actually. We have not been treated nicely by other countries, but we're going to be nice. So I think
Auto's done.
Pleasantly surprised, but it's going to make our country very rich, because we're the piggy bank that everybody steals from, and they've been doing it for many years, for decades, so we're not going to let it happen.
Wow.
So, but we're going to treat people very nicely. We're going to treat other countries very, very nicely, and I think it's going to have a very positive effect on everybody, including those other countries. So I'll sign this, and we will see you again on April the 2nd. In terms of this, it's going to be another round, and it's about making America great again, making it strong and prosperous again. Thank you very much.
How do you assure that the car coming into the country is fully built? For the automaker in Germany said, leave the tires off a car.
Yeah, we're going to have very strong policing, and it's pretty easy to do. If parts are made in America and a car isn't, those parts are not going to be taxed or tariffed. And we'll have very strong policing as far as that's concerned. For the most part, I think it's going to lead cars to be made in one location. Right now, a car would be made here, sent to Canada, sent to Mexico, sent all over the place. It's ridiculous. So this is a very simple system. And the beauty of the 25, it's one number. It's not up or down depending on the cost of the car. It's one number. And that number is going to be used to reduce debt greatly in the United States and to build things, reduce taxes. I mean, basically, I view it as reducing taxes and also reducing debt. And within a fairly short period of time, I think we're going to have a balance sheet that's going to be outstanding. Yeah.
Assure Americans then that this will not cause a long-term increase in prices.
Well, look, I think we're going to have a market the likes of which nobody's ever seen before, not in this country. You know, we had the best market ever in my first term. It was the strongest market ever, the best economy ever. And I think I think this blows it away. But this is something that people have wanted to do, presidents have wanted to do for a long time. A lot of them didn't understand it. It wasn't a priority for them. But foreign countries understood it very well. And they really ripped us off at levels that nobody's seen before. But that's not going to happen. Say it?
Do these auto tariffs go into effect today or on April 2nd?
They go into effect on April 2nd. We're signing today. It goes into effect April 2nd. We start collecting on April 3rd. What does that mean? Not then, but we will be putting a tariff on lumber. We, as you know, have a tariff already on steel and on aluminum of 25%, and we're taking in tremendous amounts of dollars. More importantly, our steel factories and aluminum factories are roaring. They're starting to roar. They're building new ones. I just heard from Nucor, which is a big company, a very big steel company, and they're building a massive plant for steel that they wouldn't build without this. So you're going to see things that are going to be actually amazing. And I think you already have. You know, we've had some news conferences where I can't have enough. They want to do news conferences where they announce they're going to spend 20, 30, 40 billion dollars. But Apple, as an example, is spending $500 billion. Okay.
On the signal chat, Senator Roger Wicker.
Hold on 1 second. Go ahead.
Reciprocal tariffs next week. Will those be immediately effective April 2nd on all countries, or will you focus on the worst offenders?
No, we're going to make it all countries, and we're going to make it very lenient. I think people are going to be very surprised. It'll be, in many cases, less than the tariff that they've been charging us for decades. So I think people are going to be very, very surprised.
Why is that?
I think they'll be pleasantly surprised. I don't know. I think we're trying to keep it somewhat conservative.
And on these auto tariffs, we saw obviously the NASDAQ 100 go down 2% at close, S&P 500 down 1%. What are you concerned about that market reaction?
Today?
Yes, sir.
I didn't see that. I want to see the jobs. I want to see that'll all take care of itself. That could take care of itself in 1 day, 2 days, or 1 week.
Are there conditions under which you remove these auto tariffs, sir, or is this permanent for the rest of your term in office?
Oh, this is permanent, yeah. 100%.
Wow.
Amazing. He's never asked me for a favor in business whatsoever. I'm actually a little surprised by it. I might do it, I might not do it. I do what's right, and he'd want me to do what's right. You know, he's a patriot. He is never, you know, these are big deals we're talking about. This is probably nothing like this. And I've never had Elon come and say, would you do
I
me a
just
favor?
told the international media, can you call back later? What do you do? Can't shut this off.
Response to Republican lawmakers who have said today that your administration should take more accountability and not downplay what's happened with the signal that we've seen in these messages today.
Well, I don't know about downplaying. The press upplays it. I think it's all a witch hunt, that's all. I think it's a witch hunt. I wasn't involved with it. I wasn't there, but I can tell you the result is unbelievable because the Houthis are looking to do something. They want to know, how do we stop? Can we have peace? The Houthis want peace because we're knocking ships out.
Guys, I gotta let you go. It's that international media. I don't want to mess that up. We need that.
They have to go through a different way, which takes
Let me know what
weeks
happens.
to travel.
I'll do it live soon. I will.